Welcome back, Zen Dreamers. I'm excited to have you with me this evening. If you're new here and enjoy the original stories, join our Zen family by liking and subscribing. Tonight, we have an incredible tale in store. We'll dive right in without meditation, so find a comfy spot, take a deep breath, and let the story sweep you away. Lucy and the Library of Labyrinths, Part 1. Lucy's life took an unexpected turn when tragedy struck her family. At the tender age of 15, she found herself facing a heartbreaking loss. Her parents, brave explorers who had traveled to the far corners of the world, were lost at sea during a fierce storm. They had always been there as guiding lights, her mentors in the art of adventure and curiosity. Lucy's parents had shared with her the wonders of the world through their stories and artifacts, instilling in her a love for exploration and a thirst for knowledge. Their home was filled with exotic treasures and books from far-off lands, creating an environment of wonder and enchantment. But when they were lost at sea, it felt as if a piece of Lucy's heart had been torn away. With no other family to turn to, Lucy found herself moving into her uncle's house, a quaint cottage perched atop the mysterious Whispering Hill. It was a somber time for Lucy, as she tried to adjust to a new life without her parents and the adventures they had shared. Lucy's grief was profound, but she carried with her the legacy of her parents' love for exploration and learning. Little did she know that her journey was about to take an unexpected and magical turn, that this newfound place would open doors to a world of adventure, mystery, and friendship beyond her wildest dreams. The cottage was nestled among the ancient trees, their branches reaching out like protective arms. A meandering path led to the front door, and the garden was adorned with flowers and vibrant colors. In the distance, the Whispering Hill itself seemed to cradle the cottage in a comforting embrace. Lucy's days were spent in solitude, surrounded by the gentle whispers of the wind and the soothing rustle of leaves. She tended to the garden with care, her fingers nurturing the blossoms her mother had once cherished. The sunsets over the hills painted the sky with hues of orange and pink, a silent reminder of the love her parents had shared with the world's wonders. One afternoon, while Lucy was working in the garden, a stern-faced man named Mr. Gravely approached her. He was the town's self-proclaimed mayor and had a reputation for meddling in others' affairs. Mr. Gravely eyed Lucy's cottage with a calculating gaze and said in a gruff tone, "This place is a treasure, you know. It has a history, and you do well to remember your place in it." Lucy felt unease settle into her heart as Mr. Gravely continued to watch her with an intensity that sent shivers down her spine. With a curt nod, he turned and walked away, leaving Lucy with a sense of foreboding that she couldn't quite shake. The encounter with Mr. Gravely left Lucy with a lingering sense of unease, but it also ignited a spark of determination within her. She knew she had to find her place in this new life, to honor her parents' memory by making the cottage a home. Little did she know that the answers to her questions and the magic she sought would soon be discovered behind a moss-covered door in the garden. A bird perched atop a statue in front of Lucy. It seemed to beckon her in its direction. The statue looked very much like her parents, their hands joined lovingly together. A small hole led Lucy to noticing a warm glow from the center, where she reached in and grabbed a skeleton key covered in moss. Lucy's interest was suddenly sparked. Where could this lead to? She thought. Mesmerized and deep in thought, Lucy barely heard the dinner bell. She returned from her thoughts of adventure and headed back to the cottage. Lucy's days in her new home became a mixture of solitude and curiosity. The cottage seemed to have a life of its own, with unexpected surprises lurking around every corner. One day, while exploring the attic, Lucy stumbled upon a hidden stash of old journals and diaries that once belonged to her ancestors. They were filled with the tales and adventures, secrets and mysteries that had taken place in the very house she now called home. She remembered the old journals that her parents had. These seemed to be different volumes of the same kind. She reminisced on how brave her ancestors were and imagined the amazing stories they experienced through the pages in front of her. She grasped the key she had found and now kept safe in her pocket, imagining the world of wonders that awaited her, much like her ancestors. Lucy delved deeper into her exploration of the cottage. She began to notice small, mischievous occurrences. Objects seemed to move on their own, and faint laughter echoed through the halls when she was certain she was alone. She wondered if these playful antics were the work of invisible spirits or the visiting presence of her parents. The house servants, Maria and Thomas, were a quirky and secretive pair who had served the family for generations. They moved about the cottage with an air of mystery, often disappearing into hidden passageways and secret doorways. Lucy couldn't help but be intrigued by their enigmatic ways. One evening, as Lucy sat in the study, engrossed in a book, a soft, melodic voice whispered in her ear. "Miss Lucy, would you like a cup of tea?" Startled, Lucy turned to find Maria standing beside her with a mischievous twinkle in her eye. "Oh, don't be frightened, dear," Maria chuckled. "It's just us. How are you enjoying your stay at Whispering Hills?" Before Lucy could answer, Thomas, the other house servant, emerged from the door, chuckling as well. "Ah, Miss Lucy," he said with a wink. "I'm sure you've figured out by now this house has a way of amusing itself. Are you enjoying your time here?" Lucy couldn't help but smile at their antics, realizing that the cottage had a life of its own, filled with secrets and surprises waiting to be discovered. In the midst of her grief and loneliness, these playful encounters with Maria and Thomas added a touch of magic to her new life on Whispering Hill. Lucy answered, "This place reminds me of home. I miss my parents dearly, but I am happy to make such wonderful new friends." She grinned in their direction. They continued on with their conversation for a while. Maria stopped for a moment of seriousness. "Now, Miss Lucy, I have to let you know." Strange things may come about around here. If you should ever need anything, whistle 3 times. Thomas butted in. Oh, come on now, Maria. You're going to give the poor lass night terrors. Everything will be just fine, dear. The only thing you'll need to worry about is the grumpy old fart Mr. Gravely from down the road, he finished in jest. As the laughter and warmth filled the room, Lucy had momentarily forgot about the strange encounter with Mr. Gravely earlier that day. It was as if the mischievous spirits of the house and the charming company of Maria and Thomas had swept away the lingering shadows of her unease, leaving her with a sense of wonder and anticipation for the mysteries that lay ahead in her new home. Lucy's days at the cottage continued to be filled with enchantment and wonder, thanks to the playful spirits of the house and the camaraderie of Maria and Thomas. However, her curiosity often led her beyond the garden's edge. One sunny morning, she decided to venture into town. As she walked down the winding path towards the town below, Lucy marveled at the picturesque surroundings. The town, nestled at the foot of Whispering Hill, was a quaint place with cobblestone streets, charming shops, and colorful houses. The townsfolk bustled about and laughter filled the air as they went about their daily routines. Lucy's first stop was at the local bakery, where the sweet aroma of freshly baked bread and pastries greeted her. The friendly baker, Miss Elmsworth, welcomed Lucy with a warm smile and insisted that she try one of her famous raspberry tarts. Lucy couldn't resist the offer and savored every bite as she chatted with Miss Elmsworth about the life in the town. After her delightful visit to the bakery, Lucy wandered into a small bookstore. The cozy shop was filled with shelves of books of all kinds. The elderly bookstore owner, Mr. Arthur, greeted Lucy and recommended a few novels he thought she might enjoy. Lucy's love for reading had not diminished, and she left the store with a handful of books tucked under her arm. As she continued her exploration, Lucy noticed a group of children playing by the fountain in the town square. Among them was a girl about her age, with fiery red hair and a mischievous glint in her eyes. Lucy approached, hoping to make a new friend. "Hello," said Lucy with a friendly smile. The girl, whose name was Eliza, looked Lucy up and down with a smirk. "You're new here, aren't you?" she said, her tone carrying a hint of mockery. Lucy nodded, feeling a bit uneasy. "Yes, I've just moved into the cottage on Whispering Hill." Eliza raised an eyebrow. "Oh, Whispering Hill, huh? Fancy place. Well, just so you know, we don't take too kindly to newcomers meddling in our business, so keep to yourself, and we'll get along fine." With that, Eliza turned away and rejoined her friends, leaving Lucy feeling somewhat perplexed and a bit hurt. She couldn't understand why Eliza had been so cold and unwelcoming. Nonetheless, Lucy decided to explore the rest of the town and interact with other townsfolk before headed back to the cottage. Upon her return, Maria greeted her with a tray of tea and biscuits. Noticing the thoughtful expression on Lucy's face, asked, "Miss Lucy, did you enjoy your day in town?" Lucy sighed. "Mostly yes. I met some lovely people. But there was a girl named Eliza who wasn't very friendly. It's strange." Maria offered a sympathetic smile. "Sometimes, dear, people are guarded or misunderstood. Perhaps Eliza is going through a difficult time. You never know what might be going on in somebody's life. Lucy considered Maria's words and decided to give Eliza the benefit of a doubt. She sipped her tea, feeling grateful for the warmth and the comfort of her new home, and couldn't help but wonder about the mysteries unfolding before her. Lucy ascended the creaking staircase to her room after her visit to the town, feeling a mix of emotions from her encounters with the townsfolk, particularly the enigmatic Eliza. The tea Maria had served her had a peculiarly soothing effect, and she settled into her comfortable bed. Her eyelids grew heavy, and she drifted off into peaceful slumber. Hours passed, and Lucy stirred in her sleep, her eyes fluttering open. Moonlight filtered through the curtains, casting a silvery glow across the room. It was well past midnight, and the house was enveloped in silence, save for the occasional whisper of the wind outside. Lucy sat up, feeling strangely refreshed despite her unexpected nap. She noticed that the room had an unusual sense of enchantment. The air was charged with a faint ethereal energy, and she could see tiny sparkling glints of light dancing in the moonbeams. Curiosity piqued. Lucy stepped out of her bed and ventured closer to the source of the glimmers. Her eyes widened as she realized that they were coming from the ornate key she left resting on her bedside table. As if guided by an invisible hand, Lucy picked up the key, her heart pounding with anticipation. The key felt warm to the touch, and it seemed to pulse with life of its own. She couldn't resist the urge to follow its lead. With the key in hand, Lucy left her room and began to explore the quiet corridors of the cottage. Moonlight painted the intricate patterns on the walls as she followed the faint, magical glints that grew brighter with each step. The key led her to a hidden doorway concealed behind an ancient tapestry in the hallway, a doorway she had never noticed before. With a trembling hand, Lucy inserted the key into the lock and turned it. The door swung open, revealing a softly lit passage that beckoned her forward. With each step she took down the corridor, Lucy's heart raced with excitement. She felt as if she were walking through a dream, guided by the key's mysterious power. Eventually, she reached the end of the passage, and before her stood a door unlike any other, adorned with intricate carvings and glowing softly. As Lucy placed the key into the second door and turned and pushed it to open, she gasped in wonder. Before her lay the magnificent Library of Labyrinths, bathed in a soft, enchanting light. The shelves stretched endlessly with twists and turns, and the books seemed to shimmer with anticipation. The library had come to life once more, and Lucy was a welcomed guest. Once Lucy entered the enchanting library on Whispering Hill, Lucy's footsteps echoed softly as she ventured deeper into the library. The air was filled with the scent of old parchment and the hushed whispers of 1,000 stories. Every book seemed to hold its own secrets, waiting to be discovered. and each one beckoned to be read. As she perused the shelves, Lucy heard a faint rustling sound coming from a nearby aisle. At first, it sent shivers down her spine, but curiosity overcame her fear and she approached the source of the noise. She stopped for a moment, thinking she could turn back. Memories of her ancestors comforted and encouraged her instead, and she continued tracking the sound. Hidden amidst the books, she spotted a peculiar sight. It was a small green creature with round glasses that perched upside down on its nose, nibbling at the edge of an old, ugly book. Startled, Lucy gasped, "Who are you?" The creature looked up, crumbs of paper falling from his mouth as he sat upright, and blinked at her with wide, friendly eyes. "Oh, hello there. I'm Wilbur the Bookworm," it said cheerfully, extending a tiny hand as it wiped away paper bits with the others. Lucy couldn't help but chuckle at the comical sight of the bookworm. You're eating the books." Wilbur nodded, his round glasses wobbling. "Indeed, but don't worry, I only nibble on the angry books, the ones filled with negativity and spite. They don't taste very good, but I'm doing the library a favor by munching away their bad vibes. These books just have the power to regenerate anyways when given the right attention, but no one needs to read this one." Lucy's initial fear transformed into utter amazement when she watched Wilbur continue his quirky meal. "So you live here in the library?" Wilbur nodded again, his mouth full of paper. "Yes, it's quite cozy, and I don't need much to survive. Just a nibble here and there, and I'm good to go." Lucy couldn't help but smile at the friendly bookworm's antics. "Could you give me a tour of the library, Wilbur? I'd love to explore more of this magical place." Wilbur's expression turned nervous, and he tucked on his glasses. "Oh dear, Miss Lucy, I would love to, but it's best if you come back tomorrow when the professor is here. He knows the library inside and out and can give you a proper tour." Lucy understood Wilbur's hesitation and nodded. "Of course, Wilbur, I'll come back tomorrow. Thank you for showing me around today." Wilbur let out a relieved sigh. "You're very welcome, Miss Lucy. I promise the tour with the professor will be quite an experience. Until then, feel free to explore the library on your own and make yourself at home." With that, Lucy smiled and bid Wilbur farewell, knowing that the library held even more enchanting surprises waiting to be discovered on her next visit. The following night, Lucy eagerly retrieved the key to the Library of Labyrinths, excited to continue her exploration. However, as she held the key in her hand, she noticed that it no longer emitted the soft, enchanting glow she'd seen before. Perplexed, she rushed to the tapestry that concealed the hidden doorway previously, only to find that the door had disappeared, leaving behind nothing but a blank wall. Her heart sank, and she couldn't fathom why the magical library had become inaccessible. Lucy had spent hours searching for clues, retracing her steps, and even asking Maria and Thomas for any insights. But the mystery remained unsolved. Days turned into a week, and Lucy's frustration grew. She missed the enchantment and wonder of the library, the companionship of Wilbur, and the secrets waiting to be discovered within the pages of the books in the library. She yearned to unlock the door once more. One sunny afternoon, as Lucy sat at the garden swing pondering the disappearance of the library, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Lucy, dear, there's someone here to see you," Maria announced, stepping onto the porch. Lucy turned to see a woman, elegantly dressed, standing at the gate. It was Eliza's mother, Miss Hawthorne. Lucy felt a mixture of surprise and curiosity. She hadn't expected a visitor, especially not from the family of the girl she had encountered in town. Miss Hawthorne greeted Lucy with a polite smile. "Good day, Miss Lucy. My daughter Eliza has been quite persistent about wanting to make your acquaintance. She thought it would be a splendid idea if the two of you became friends." Lucy was taken aback by the unexpected visit, but nodded politely. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Miss Hawthorne. I'd be happy to show Eliza around." Eliza, who had been standing behind her mother, was pushed forward, her expression a mixture of curiosity and apprehension. She offered a tentative greeting. "Hi, Lucy. Nice to see you again." Lucy returned the greeting with a smile. "Hello, Eliza. Good to see you, too." Eliza's bold and outspoken nature sometimes clashed with Lucy's reserved demeanor. They found themselves at odds over seemingly trivial matters, their differences causing small quarrels that left both girls feeling frustrated. Lucy had been arranging the flowers in the garden when Eliza strolled over. "Those flowers don't look right," Eliza remarked bluntly, wrinkling her nose. Lucy's cheeks flushed with annoyance. "Well, maybe if you think they're not right, you can arrange them yourself," she retorted, a hint of irritation in her voice. Eliza huffed and crossed her arms. "Fine, I will. Hand them over." For the next hour, the two girls engaged in a flower arranging competition. Eliza's bold and colorful arrangement clashed with Lucy's more delicate and traditional one. They exchanged critical comments, each convinced that her own style was superior. Yet, as they worked side by side in the garden, something unexpected seemed to happen. They began to notice the beauty in each other's arrangements. Eliza admired the elegance and precision of Lucy's design, while Lucy was charmed by the vibrant and carefree nature of Eliza's bouquet. Their quarrel dissolved into laughter as they realized the absurdity of their disagreement. Eliza nudged Lucy playfully. "I suppose our flowers can coexist peacefully in the garden, just like we can." Lucy smiled warmly, realizing that beneath their differences, she had found a friend who was willing to accept her for who she was. "You're right, Eliza. Maybe our differences make us a good team." From that day on, their friendship deepened as they learned to appreciate each other's strengths and quirks. Eliza's boldness brought out Lucy's adventurous side, while Lucy's thoughtfulness helped temper Eliza's impulsiveness. As they spent more time together, their bond grew stronger. They confided in each other, sharing dreams, fears, and secrets. Lucy told Eliza about her parents and the loss she had endured, and Eliza opened up about her own struggles and aspirations. One evening, as they sat on the porch, Lucy decided it was time to reveal her most precious secret. "Eliza," she began hesitantly, "there's something I've kept hidden from everyone, something magical and mysterious." Eliza leaned in, her curiosity piqued. "What is it?" Lucy lowered her voice to a whisper. "There's a magical library in this house, hidden behind a secret door, and I have the key that you can use to open it, but now it doesn't work. Inside, I met a bookworm named Wilbur, and there were books that come to life." Eliza's eyes widened with astonishment. "A magical library? That sounds incredible. Why doesn't the key work anymore?" Lucy sighed. "That's what I've been trying to figure out. I thought maybe you might have some ideas since you're so resourceful." Eliza frowned, deep in thought. "I don't know much about magic, but maybe it has something to do with the way you're using the key for your intentions. Sometimes magic can be unpredictable." Lucy and Eliza delved into the mystery of the inaccessible library, united by their shared curiosity and determination. Their friendship, once rocky and uncertain, had blossomed into a bond that would help them unravel the secrets of the library and face the challenges that lay ahead, all while the house servants watched in amusement, their initial snickers now replaced with admiration for the young girl's enduring friendship. Lucy had grown closer to Eliza with each passing day, and their friendship had bloomed like the most vibrant of flowers they picked. They shared laughter, and it echoed through the house and the gardens, and Lucy decided it was time to invite her newfound friend to spend the night. One sunny morning, Lucy asked Eliza with an eager smile, "Eliza, would you like to stay at my uncle's house for the night?" Eliza's eyes sparked with excitement. "That sounds amazing, Lucy. I'd love to." The day of the sleepover arrived, and the two girls were filled with anticipation. They had a delightful time riding horses to the river that day, their laughter mingling with the bubbling of the clear waters they rode by. The sun painted the sky in shades of orange and pink again as they returned home, a rosy-cheeked and full of stories to share. As the evening descended, the house servants prepared a delicious dinner for the girls. They enjoyed a hearty meal in the warm glow of the dining room, their hearts full of contentment. After dinner, the servants helped Lucy and Eliza change into their nightgowns and tucked them into bed. The room was adorned with a soft, inviting ambience, and a crackling fire in the fireplace cast dancing shadows across the walls. The girls settled down by the fire, sipping on a calming herbal tea as the nanny, Miss Thompson, joined them. She had a special place in her heart for the two girls, and often regaled them with tales of adventure and wonder. With the firelight flickering in her eyes, Miss Thompson began her story. Once upon a time, in a faraway land, there was a magical forest where trees whispered secrets to the wind, and the animals sang songs of old. Lucy and Eliza listened intently, their imaginations soaring as Miss Thompson spun her tale. The hours passed like minutes, and soon the girls found themselves drifting into a dreamlike slumber. But as the full moon ascended to its peak, casting silvery beams of light into the room, something extraordinary happened. On the small table between their beds, the key to the Library of Labyrinths began to emit a soft, enchanting glow again. Lucy stirred in her sleep, her eyes fluttering open. Drawn to the mesmerizing radiance, she blinked in astonishment and realized the key was glowing in the moonlight. She suddenly nudged Eliza to wake. Eliza, still half asleep, rubbed her eyes and mumbled, "What's going on, Lucy?" Lucy's voice trembled with excitement, and she pointed to the glowing key. "Look, Eliza! The key to the library is glowing again." Eliza's sleepiness vanished in an instant, and she stared at the key in wonder. "That's incredible. What should we do?" Lucy knew exactly what they had to do. They quietly slipped out of their beds, careful not to wake anyone, and tiptoed over to the table. With trembling hands, Lucy picked up the glowing key and whispered, "Let's go to the library, Eliza." Eliza nodded eagerly, her heart pounding with anticipation as well, and together they threw on their robes and slippers and made their way to the tapestry-covered door. Their breaths visible in the chilly night, Lucy inserted the key into the hidden lock, and with a soft click, the door swung open. The two friends stepped into the moonlit passage, their excitement and curiosity guiding them forward. They were ready to embark on a midnight adventure in the enchanting world of this whimsical library, where mysteries and magic awaited their eager hearts. Lucy and Eliza stepped through the moonlit doorway and into the whimsical library, their eyes widening in amazement as the enchanting world unfolded before them. The shelves stretched endlessly in all directions, filled with books that seemed to whisper secrets in the night. And as they ventured further into the library, Lucy's heart skipped a beat as she heard a familiar voice. "Lucy, my dear, you've returned." Turning towards the source of the voice, Lucy saw Wilbur the bookworm perched on a small shelf, his round glasses glinting with the dim light. He scuttled over to her with excitement, his tiny legs moving surprisingly fast for a bookworm. "I've missed you terribly." Lucy's cheeks flushed with guilt. "I'm sorry, Wilbur, it took me so long to come back. The key only seems to work during the full moon." The bookworm waved his tiny paw dismissively. "No need to apologize, dear. Time moves differently in our realm. To us, it's been one night. But you can only come here during the full moon to have no time consequences when you return to your realm." Just as Lucy and Wilbur were chatting it up, a voice echoed through the library. "Lucy! What is this place? It's amazing!" It was Eliza, her eyes wide with wonder as she explored the library's vast expanse. Lucy introduced Eliza to Wilbur and explained the library's magical nature. Eliza's excitement was palpable as she marveled the living books in the fantastical world they had entered. While Lucy and Wilbur were continuing on, Eliza began to venture off, finding a dark corner of the library. Eliza's curiosity got the better of her. She spotted a sinister yet tempting book, with a black cover and blood-red title. Unable to resist, she picked it up and opened it, expecting another magical story. To her horror, as she turned the pages, the book seemed to come alive, its dark, swirling pages wrapped around her like a malevolent serpent. Eliza screamed in terror, her voice echoed through the library's cavernous halls. Lucy, the professor, and Wilbur reacted instantly to Eliza's cries. They rushed to her side, desperately trying to pry the cursed book from her grasp. The struggle was intense, and the book's dark magic had fought back with a malevolent force. The professor, with his vast knowledge of the library's secrets, finally managed to break the book's grip on Eliza. They stumbled backwards, grasping for breath, while the cursed book lay dormant once more. Shaken but unharmed, Eliza clung to Lucy, her wide eyes reflecting the terror she had just experienced. Lucy hugged her tightly, grateful that they had escaped the book's sinister grasp. The professor and Wilbur exchanged concerned glances, realizing that even within the enchanting world of the whimsical library, danger lurked in unexpected places. As they regained their composure, they knew that their midnight adventure had just taken an ominous turn, and they needed to be cautious in this magical realm where books came to life and secrets waited to be uncovered. Wilbur stammered, this isn't exactly how I wanted you to meet, but please allow me to introduce Professor Florigelium. Yes, he's been here for a very long time, and if you have any questions, this guy's the one to ask. The professor remained stern, as the girls looked up with embarrassment and intrigue. After the harrowing encounter with the cursed book, Professor Florigelium knew it was essential to establish some guidelines for Lucy, Eliza, and any future visitors to the library. Gathering the girls around him, he began to lay out the rules that would help them stay safe in this magical realm. Now listen carefully, my dear. Lucy, Eliza, the professor began, his voice steady and authoritative. The Library of Labyrinths is a place of enchantment and wonder, but it is also filled with its own unique set of rules. It is imperative that you understand and abide by them. Books hold knowledge of all kinds. The wrong book in the wrong hands could be utterly disastrous. He continued, with this in mind, let's review the basics. Rule 1. The buddy system. First and foremost, the professor emphasized, never explore the library alone. Always have a buddy with you. This ensures that you can help each other in times of need and never find yourself isolated or vulnerable. Rule 2. Never practice magic until you've attended the lessons. Magic within this library is powerful and unpredictable, the professor continued. Before attempting any form of magic, it is crucial to attend my lessons. We will cover the basics of the magical etiquette and safety to prevent accidents and mishaps. Rule 3. Stay away from the dark corners. Some corners of the library are darker and more ominous than others, Professor warned. Avoid these areas at all costs. Darkness tends to breed malevolent entities, and it's best not to tempt fate. Rule 4. Use your brain. It's a library. Be resourceful. Remember, the professor said kindly, this is a library, and libraries are places of knowledge. Always use your intelligence and resourcefulness when encountering challenges. Books are your allies, and wisdom is your greatest weapon. Rule 5. Respect the residents. Be mindful of the library's inhabitants, the professor advised. Wilbur here is our trusted bookworm, and there are other beings that call this place home. Treat them with respect, and they will aid you in your quest for knowledge. Rule 6. Time is relative. Time behaves differently in this library, the professor explained. What may seem like minutes to you could be hours or even days in the outside world. Keep track of time. Don't lose yourself in the magic of this place or any of the other worlds. Rule 7. Never remove a book from the library. Books are living entities within these walls, the professor cautioned. Never, under any circumstances, remove a book from the library. They must remain here where they belong. Rule 8.
Silence is golden. Maintain a sense of quiet and reverence, the professor stressed. This library thrives on the hush of whispered secrets and the rustling of pages. Loud noises disrupt the delicate balance of magic here. Rule 9. Share your knowledge. As you explore and learn, share your discoveries with each other, the professor encouraged. The library's magic grows stronger when knowledge is shared, and your experiences can help others navigate this enchanting world. Rule 10. Embrace wonder, but beware of temptation. Finally, the professor concluded, never lose your sense of wonder, but be wary of temptation. The library can reveal both marvelous and treacherous secrets. Stay true to your hearts, and you will find your way. The girls nodded in understanding, their resolve strengthened by the professor's wisdom. With these rules in mind, they were prepared to continue with their adventures in the whimsical library, ever mindful of the enchantments and dangers that awaited within its magical pages. The rules laid out by the professor echoed in their minds. Lucy, Eliza, and Wilbur embarked on a new journey within the depths of the whimsical library. As they ventured further into the library's enchanting world, they came upon a vast, open chamber unlike anything they had ever seen before. The main chamber was awe-inspiring. The ceiling stretched impossibly high, so far up that it seemed to dissolve into the very cosmos itself. Columns tall and majestic held up the celestial expanse as if they were pillars of the universe. Stars twinkled above them, forming constellations that danced and sparkled with ethereal light. Lucy and Eliza stood in the middle of this wondrous chamber, their eyes wide with wonder and amazement. "It's like we're in the heart of the universe," Eliza whispered, her voice filled with reverence. Wilbur, who had seen this chamber countless times, smiled at their astonishment. "Indeed you are, my dear friends. This is the Celestial Chamber, a place of the very fabric of reality is on display. It's a testament to the boundless knowledge and magic that this library holds." Lucy reached out and touched one of the colossal columns, feeling the cool marble beneath her fingertips. "It's as if the entire universe is at our fingertips," she marveled. The professor, who followed the girls into the chamber, nodded in agreement. This place is a reminder of the infinite possibilities that knowledge and imagination can bring. It's a testament to the magic of the written word. As they explored the celestial chamber, they discovered that the stars above them were not mere decorations. Each star represented a book within the library, a story waiting to be explored. The constellations seemed to shift and change, forming new patterns as they approached different sections of the chamber. Lucy and Eliza exchanged excited glances, realizing that the celestial patterns were like a map, guiding them to specific books and stories they might want to explore. They chose a constellation that seemed to beckon to them, and as they reached out to touch one of the stars, it descended from the ceiling, revealing a book with a shimmering cover. With eager anticipation, they opened the book. And as the pages came to life, they found themselves transported to a new world, ready to embark on another magical adventure within the boundless realm of the whimsical library. As Lucy, Eliza, and the professor, along with Wilbur, opened the book in the celestial chamber, they felt a rush of magic surround them. In an instant, they were transported to a world unlike any they had ever seen. The land of Idar. Idar was a realm of empathy, wisdom, and knowledge reigned supreme. The people of this world were not only beautiful, but also deeply complex, their hearts filled with a profound understanding of one another and the world around them. The first lesson in Idar was called book channeling, a skill that allowed them to draw the knowledge and insights directly from the pages of the magical books they encountered, without entering the realm. The people of Idar were renowned for their mastery of this art, and they were eager to teach Lucy, Eliza, and their companions. Under the guidance of a kind and patient teacher named Lady Sarah, the girls attempted their first book channeling. They placed their hands on the pages of the massive tome, closed their eyes, and focused on their thoughts, on the question they wished to answer. At first, their efforts were met with little success. The words remained still on the pages, and the book seemed unresponsive. But with each attempt, their connection to the book grew stronger, and eventually they felt a subtle shift in the pages. First, Lucy began to feel an energy flow from her head, through her hands, and into the book. As the energy returned like a wave on the shore, wisdom and knowledge flowed into her mind like a gentle stream, answering questions and filling her with a deep sense of understanding. It was a remarkable experience, and they couldn't help but marvel at the power of this book channeling. Eliza began to get a bit jealous at her friend's heightened progress. As her frustration grew, so did her energy. A burst of light filled her and threw her off her feet onto the ground beneath her. Lady Sarah and Professor Florigelium rushed to lift her. As they did, Sarah whispered below her breath, a spell to heal Eliza's hands that had been badly burned from her encounter. The lady and Professor exchanged glances for a moment. As the lesson concluded, Professor Florigelium checked his pocket watch and announced, "It is time to return, my dear students." And with that, his voice thundered, "Milchtach!" and they were transported back to the main chamber of the library. Upon returning, Lucy couldn't help but notice the professor's use of the command word. "Professor," she asked, curiosity in her eyes, "what was that word you used to escape the book?" The professor smiled warmly at Lucy's inquisitive nature. "Ah, my dear, each book in the library has its own unique command word that allows readers to return home. It is a safeguard to ensure that those who enter can always find their way back." Eliza chimed in. "So we have to learn the command word for each book we read?" Professor Florigelium nodded. "Precisely, my dear. It's an important part of our lessons in the library, and we must always be prepared to navigate its many wonders safely." Feeling tired from their adventures in the land of Adair, Lucy and Eliza bid farewell to the professor and Wilbur. They made their way back to the tapestry-covered door and, with a sense of fulfillment and exhaustion, entered the real world once more. As they returned to their beds, their minds filled with the lessons and experiences of the night, they couldn't help but feel grateful for the magical world that awaited them within the pages of the enchanted books. With dreams of new adventures and discoveries, they drifted into a peaceful slumber, eager to explore the boundless streams of knowledge that the library held in store for them. Thank you for joining us tonight. This concludes part 1 of Lucy and the Library of Labyrinths, a ZenDream Chronicles original story. Join us next week as we delve deeper into the magic unfolding. Until then, sleep sweet, my Zen dreamers. Good night.